Evening all, good to see you. And where do I start? Something phenomenal has happened in Europe over the last couple of days, utterly revolutionary to the spirit of what it is to be European. At the beginning of this invasion of Ukraine, in the build up to it, there was the international community concerned. There was the US, there was the EU, there was the UK, trying to work out what was going on and get in position. And then when the invasion happened, then the EU level response on things like Swift felt too slow, and it was standard EU sort of functioning of trying to get everyone together onto the same page, and it felt a little slow. Um, but things have changed in the last 48 hours, well, 24 hours. Things have really changed, and it's phenomenal to witness. I think it was because not just the invasion from Putin shocked people so badly, but then his Putin's hissing lies from his golden throne room about deposing neo-Nazis and drug addicts, and then threatening the West that if they get involved, there will be consequences the like of which they have not seen. We all know what that meant. And then when Finland and Sweden made noises about potentially seeking the sanctuary of NATO, to then threaten them directly with military consequences for choosing to join a club of self-defense. That's what really kicked it off. And Sweden, with its long-standing position of neutrality, was then really triggered. They have now sent 5,000 anti-tank weapons to Ukraine. And Germany that has a long-standing pacifist stance because of its history, well, it immediately pivoted on a dime as well and sent 1,000 anti-tank weapons and 500 Stinger missiles. That's those surface-to-air portable missiles straight to the Ukraine. Belgium chipping in as well with grenade launchers. All of the nations across Europe sat right up at that. They realized the threat to it. NATO went on defensive poise as well. And then the series of actions that have come out from the EU since then. First, there was the movement on SWIFTs and the freezing of assets of the Russian central bank wherever they are, just locking those down. But then immediately after that, there came three actions from the EU. The one shutting down of their airspace to all Russian planes, Russian-owned, Russian-backed, Russian oligarch planes, shut down. You're not coming here. Secondly, banning Sputnik and Russia Today from everywhere. Now, whatever you think of free speech, and I believe in free speech, these are parts of the Russian state apparatus. So it's just as companies, as part of Kremlin's actual physical assets in other countries, the lot of it acts across more than 24 countries. You're out of here. Thirdly, a package of sanctions against Lukashenko of Belarus, saying you launched attacks from there, so you're going to get the same sanctions as Russia's getting. And then on top of that, the EU then said, for the first time in its history, it is going to finance, help the purchase and delivery of these weapons to a country under attack, Ukraine. And that is phenomenal. There's even talk now of helping Ukraine out with fighter jets, just bringing fighter jets into their country for them. Here, have some fighter jets. That is really stepping up. And then furthermore, and this is the thing that I want to get into now, apart from the warfare, just the soul of Europe. We've seen so many of our fellow countries on the borders of Ukraine saying to the refugees, just come in. We'll give you food. We'll give you lodging. We'll give you help. We love you. We're here for you. And you've seen that in Poland. You've seen that in Slovakia. You've seen that in Moldova, opening their doors to Ukrainian refugees. And now the EU unanimously all 27 countries, that is 27 countries, got together, agreed a policy whereby Ukrainians just come for 3 months. You don't even have to apply for amnesty here. You just come with your family. Some countries are saying even bring your pets if you like, but just come. We'll take care of you. We'll deal with the paperwork later. And this is something that also puts my country, United Kingdom, to shame. The fact that over 24 countries can get their shit together to put on the table such a generous policy. 27 countries, that includes Orban, for crying out loud. And Priti Patel and Boris Johnson can't put their heads together to provide a welcoming policy for Ukrainians. The best they can do is say, oh, if you got family here, then you can come. But immediate family, like mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters. Anything beyond that, sorry, maybe apply to come and pick fruit here, though it's not in season at the moment. That was what one ridiculous Tory MP said. What do we look like as a country? And this doesn't reflect the British public in the slightest. You have done, you shouldn't need to do polling on this in order for the government to move, in order for the government to have any moral compass or drive. You shouldn't need the poll, but the polling shows that the majority of this country think that it is our moral obligation to take Ukrainian refugees in. This is our duty. This is what we should be doing. And our government, after Boris Johnson was challenged on this last night and said, we're ahead of the game on this front. We're ahead. What the heck did he mean? He said we're ahead in our willingness to help out refugees. Notice those clever words, in the willingness, because he knows that the public are willing, but he's saying we're ahead in our willingness, we're not ahead in actions. But that's coming down the line. And when it does come, then it's that Brexity mean-spiritedness about our fellow Europeans yet again. That really mean-spiritedness that we saw after the vote. I am European. I have never been more proud to be European than right now, seeing how Europe is behaving. The sleeping giant waking up and see Ursula von der Leyen. She's acting like a boss now. She's going for it on with all these actions. She's leading it. I haven't heard anything from Joe Biden in a while. Boris Johnson is pissing around in Oxfordshire, looking at warplanes and talking to people, with some councillors tweeting out that he's on the front line. Ridiculous. But Ursula von der Leyen, didn't think that much of her before, but boy, she has stepped up. And the EU has stepped up. And Europe has stepped up. And it's a soul thing as well. It goes beyond the refugees. It goes to that beautiful footage I just shared on Twitter now, because I saw someone else sharing it, of this massive chorus in Latvia singing the Ukrainian national anthem. This is in Riga, outside the Russian embassy, and it is vast. And the huge protest in Amsterdam for Ukraine, the huge protests everywhere. London Philharmonic playing to a standing ovation the Ukrainian national anthem. That's what it's about. The demonstration in Trafalgar Square today. I was coming back home on the tube, and I saw this guy with Ukrainian cape around him and Ukrainian sort of flags on his cheeks as well. And I said, where have you been? Where have you been? And he was like, Trafalgar Square. And he showed me on his phone this amazing footage. And I don't know why he was there was something sheepish about him. His voice, I didn't ask him where he's from. He sounded Russian to me, but I didn't ask him where he's from because it doesn't fucking matter, because this is about humans. And it's about the kind of humanity that we shouldn't just have for Ukrainians. We should also have, for example, for Afghans, where we were in their country making them promises about how we were going to make life better for them, how we're going to provide that security for them. And then we just pulled out, leaving them, some of them that had worked with our troops and for that promise with us, leaving them in the lurch. but I am proud at the moment, despite my country, Britain, not stepping up to the plate, even though that I know the public feel differently from how this government behaves. I am proud of Europe and what Europe is doing at the moment, and the soul of Europe, and the music of Europe, and the protests of Europe, and the collaboration and cohesiveness of Europe. This is what it was always about. The biggest and most successful peace project in human history. This is always what it was about. Saying no to this kind of bullshit that Putin represents, being able to stand up against it, interweaving ourselves as nations so that we do work together, so that we don't have these kind of divisions. That's what it was always about. And now we're seeing it again. And European history is so important to the history of humanity. We were the countries that went out and colonized the world, plundering all these other countries, then starting world wars between ourselves that sucked everyone else in. And then after World War II, we said, look at us in the center of all of this. Enough of this. We are going to work together and be that block and that force for stability, peace, cooperation, deep collaboration, exchanges, love, and everything that humanity should pivot towards. That's why I've always believed in what the European Union was about, not this transactional, oh, how much did we put in? How much did we get out? Fuck that. It's about our responsibility as a country. One of the leading countries in the world, as Brexit is never tired of telling us, the fifth largest military in the world, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, so step up, show some responsibility, get involved, help lead. That's where our country should be. That's what we in this country must all fight for the rest of our existences, that our country is a responsible, collaborative country at the forefront. And you're seeing it now in Europe. You're seeing exactly what it should be, the whole soul of it. And that's what I want us to be involved with again. That's all. That's all. Is it too much to ask to be just a mature country living up to responsibilities?